Good evening. The San Dimas City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 13th will come to order. If you would, please rise and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, would you read the roll, because as we have a member missing?
Councilmember Weber,
Present.
Councilmember Ebner,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Viana,
Present.
Mayor Bedar.
Here.
The record will reflect 4 council members are in attendance with Councilmember Eric Nakano absent.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that Councilmember Nakano's absence is excused for this meeting.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, a motion carries that Councilmember Nakano will be excused for tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Recognition. Recognizing Black History Month. Whereas the Black History Month 2024 theme, Africans, Americans, and the Arts, explores a key influence of African Americans have had in the field of visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film music, architecture, culinary, and other forms of cultural expression. And whereas this observance affords a special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black heritage and to honor the many Black leaders who have contributed to the progress of our community, state, nation, and whereas such knowledge can strengthen the understanding by all citizens regarding the issues of human rights. The great strides that have been made in a crusade to eliminate barriers to equality for minority groups and the continuing struggle against racial discrimination and poverty, and whereas February has been designated National Black History Month, and the City of San Dimas calls upon all residents as well as others to observe and commemorate Black History Month and to rededicate themselves to creating a world where the rights and the contributions of all would be respected, acknowledged, and celebrated. Now, therefore, I, Emmett G. Bedar, Mayor Pro Tem Ryan A. Viana, Council members John Ebner, Eric Weber, and Eric Nakano, do hereby proclaim February 2024 as National Black History Month. In witness thereof, I, Mayor Emmett Bedar, have hereon set my hand and caused the seal of the City of San Dimas to be affixed this 13th day of February 2024. Is there anybody here to accept anything? Evidently not. Thank you. Oral communications. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Council on any item on this agenda or not on this agenda. Public comment will not be taken during each individual item except for public hearing items. Comments on public hearing items will not be heard, will be heard when that item is scheduled for discussion. Under the provisions of the Brown Act, the legislative body is prohibited from engaging in discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. However, your concern may be referred to a staff or set for discussion at a later date. Each speaker will be limited to speaking once for up to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker cards?
Mayor Danny Martinez is here to speak.
Good evening, San Dimas City Council. We residents and homeowners here in San Dimas on West 1st and 2nd Street, just 4 blocks from here, have concern for the safety of us and our families. We have a neighbor, Stephen Arthur Ojeda, AKA Steve, who in his current state of being on drugs and unstable mental state poses a potential safety risk to us directly and indirectly. The following points will elaborate on what we mean by this. By the way, 3 of us members of households that are affected, at least by him, are here tonight. Steve has brandished a firearm to at least one of us. Steve disturbs the peace on a daily or almost daily basis by yelling loudly at us, our families, and just out loud from the top of his stairs or out his window that faces the alley between 1st and 2nd Street, yelling at us to, quote unquote, shut up, or quote, F you, or quote, you guys are hackers. And sometimes he's yelling, ranting for 15 minutes to as long as an hour or so as we are inside our homes with our windows shut. He has different people coming and going from his house, shady looking people, possible drug activity. He goes outside on occasion with his pit bulls off the leash. He has rummaged through our trash looking for sensitive information, which may include but not limited to our social security numbers, identification information, banking information, etc. He has directly and had people threaten us verbally or challenge us to a fight. He blocks the alley on occasion with his big 4x4 truck, and he's not loading or unloading anything like moving furniture, major appliances, which I know we are allowed to do, but he's just blocking for sake of blocking. Also at night, he has shined a super bright light on us on our own properties. Also at night, if we happen to be behind his truck in the alley, for example, he has super bright lights on his side mirrors, which he turns on to blind us while we are driving. He follows us and our families in his truck, honking at us, yelling at us, and attempting to intimidate us and our families. He also believes that the city of San Dimas or law enforcement can't do anything to him, as his son, Jesse, is a Los Angeles County deputy sheriff. We've been in contact with a lieutenant from San Dimas Station. We have a meeting coming up with the captain on the 27th of this month. And then we have ongoing court cases for orders of protection for the neighbors that never had it, and we're gonna be renewing ours. We've had a criminal and civil order of protection against this man a few years ago. During that time, it was peaceful, nice. The order expired, he started up again. And now with so many other people, we come to you to find out what, in addition to law enforcement, can the city provide us. We understand there's something when somebody is so much more, there's more than this, I only have 3 minutes, but there's a lot more that we can give you guys and let you guys know, so this way you can direct us and let us know if this guy can be asked to leave City of San Dimas based upon all this illegal activity and threat of safety and disturbance of the peace. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, there are no more speaker cards.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the council at any time, at this time? Yeah, anybody, you know, this is your time, 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Michael Gonzalez. I live directly behind Steve Ojeda. 2 weeks ago, I was taking my daughter to daycare, and he pulled a gun on me, calling me a hacker and saying that, telling me to go in his garage so that he can harm me. And before that, he tried to fight me a couple times, and it's just getting more and more aggressive now. And I can't really leave my house without him harassing me. So that's why I've taken measures to get a restraining order, and yeah, so I'm new here to San Dimas. I've lived here for 7 years, and he's just becoming a more and more of a threat. So yeah.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. My name is Oliver Candela, and I'm living next door to Mike. And we've been living here for 13 years, and it has always been like that until Danny and Patty got their restraining order, which forced him to move out. And when it expired in 2018, he lived back in his house, and this time he's already retired. He told me he has retired, so he has all the time in the world right now to harass the neighborhood. So we haven't really enjoyed our backyard for more than a decade because his windows are overlooking inside our backyard from the alley, and as well as his porch. So we've been imprisoned in our own homes, and I have 2 minor kids, and it's just inside the home for us, which is really unfortunate, but we can't afford to move out with all the pricing and home prices right now. So I hope you will consider, I don't know how you can help us, but I have a court hearing with him next year for the restraining order. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Patricia Martinez. Yeah, we moved in San Dimas because we're looking for information of where to move at. It was our first house to buy. This was a nice area. This is where we wanted to retire. We came from La Puente. Puente's a bad area, okay? Now, to be honest with you, with this gentleman, it's become San Dimas worse than La Puente. We have no peace, no tranquility. We try to do everything possible to ignore this man, but when you're being harassed, when you're being followed, when you're being verbally abused, the children can't even play in the alley like they used to play or play in the front. Everybody's stuck inside their house. We're going to be starting a neighborhood watch. That's why we're going back with the police department the 27th, because we want to talk with the captain to see what could be done, because we just want our house, our tranquility back. When he was gone, it was nice. He is back, and it's just getting worse. We understand he has a situation. We understand that they told us that he could use his drugs, he could do whatever he wants, at his house. Yes, at his house, yes, but not outside where he's harassing us, so we just plead for you guys to give us some information for something to be done. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Mr. Mayor, I would just ask that staff or members of the public, our sheriff's captain actually is here this evening, and I spoke with him briefly, and he would be happy to speak with you as soon as we finish here.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak to the council?
Good evening, City Council and staff. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm here tonight. I was asked to come by 2 other HOA board members. They're not here due to traffic, and I don't know who Tommy is. Tommy, if you're here. What we're wanting to call attention to is our area once again are receiving the fire clearance letters. I don't know if anybody has emailed you. I've also spoken with Mr. Weber regarding our area. It's coming now down to the HOA residents. Besides last year, we had our area, which is a different amount, different fire restrictions. It's now coming to most of the homeowners. I'm not sure if other areas across Puente have got it yet, but it's in the villas at Rancho Villaverde, as well as Heather Glen. Those 2 HOA presidents have contacted me and asked me questions about the fire clearance letters. It's different regulations. I just wanted to make you guys aware. If possibly you could have another fire meeting, or is it the new fire captain, Cabrera, that I should forward the information to for them to speak with? Or how we can help possibly. Like I said, last year was a great meeting. We had a lot of people here, but now we have people all over social media. It gets crazy. You guys know how that is, but I'm trying to sway that down and say, come to a city council meeting, call staff and find out who we can talk to gain help and to clear this information up. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Thank you.
Chris, is that possible to get together with the fire chief in charge of this?
I will talk with the resident offline.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the council at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council requests a separate discussion. Councilman Ebner has requested that consent item number 6 be withdrawn at this time, and is requesting a staff report.
Staff report and separate vote. So can I move approval of the rest of the consent calendar?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 4 positive and 1 abstention. Is that the way it would go?
4-0 with 1 absence.
Okay. 4-0 with 1 absence. Okay. We'll move on to item number 6.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thanks. I just wanted a separate report. This is the introduction of an ordinance. We did discuss the matter back in July and gave direction to staff, which they've crafted the ordinance, but just in the interest of the public knowing what's going on, it's a good one to say what we're doing and then have a vote on it. So.
Sure, thank you, Councilmember. I can give that staff report. Like the Councilmember said, this item is a result of a council meeting that was held back in last July, where the council was discussing fines and enforcement procedures for enforcement of Chapter 13.36 of the San Dimas Municipal Code, which is our community tree ordinance. And this chapter of the code prohibits various actions that cause damage to community trees. Community trees are those which are city-owned trees that are located within any public park, city right-of-way, median, parkway, planting easement, or on any other city-owned property. The ordinance prohibits things like cropping the trees, damaging the trees, over-irrigating trees, anything that causes damage to our community trees. Council was considering whether they want to change the enforcement procedures or increase the administrative penalties for violation of this code. The penalties currently, the administrative penalties currently are $100 for the first offense, $200 for the second offense in the same year, and $500 for each later offense within the same year. Council decided not to change any of the penalties for most of the violations under the chapter, but they did decide that they wanted to bring back an ordinance to increase the penalties for egregious violations of the community tree ordinance. And egregious violations, the council directed, would be defined as any willful or intentional violation of Chapter 1336, the Community Tree Ordinance, involving a community tree that is located in a city park, in a city recreational facility, or in a city street median that severely disfigures or severely injures the tree, is likely to cause the death of the tree or actually causes the death of the tree. The penalties for those egregious violations would be increased to $1,000 per tree and per violation. So that's what this ordinance before you does. There's an ordinance and a resolution. So the staff recommendation is to introduce ordinance 1305. We'll have a reading of it and read the title and waive further reading. And also to adopt resolution 2024-10.
Well, thank you. And we had that robust discussion of this particular thing back in July, and I agree with the ordinance and the resolution as stated. The only thing I'll mention, and that's the main thing. The main thing was just so the public knows that we're increasing the fine to $1,000 if you're going to do something that basically is going to cut down a tree or make it so it might die, that kind of thing, in parks and the other places that are clearly public property. We intentionally left out parkways, and I just want to mention that because during that discussion, Councilmember Nakano did bring up, well, what about parkways? Maybe leave it administrative, but increase the fine for the same kind of damage, egregious damage to parkway trees. And what came out of that was that, well, we're going to talk about that in some more broad discussion at a later date. And so I was wondering, I don't think we've had that discussion yet. Is that, am I remembering that correctly? Did we talk about trees in general?
Part of the discussion was the potential combination of private and public trees under one department. That discussion went to 2 different commissions. Those 2 different commissions do not agree on making a change. So at this point, we are not contemplating coming forth with placing all the responsibilities under one department and then tackling that aspect of it in that way.
Thanks, Chris, and that's exactly right what you said, but that's not what I'm asking. So we were talking about community trees only, not private trees, nothing to do with private trees. You might remember that discussion rambled over and talked about eucalyptus trees as well. So this ordinance has nothing to do with that or any private trees. What Councilmember Nakano was asking was for parkway trees that are community trees, like say up on San Dimas Avenue, the oak trees that go there, they're along there. What about those? And the answer was that staff would organize a robust, I remember the term robust, conversation among the city council about that.
We'll have to go back and look at that. That's not my understanding.
I just watched the meeting today, and yeah, we're supposed to come back for a more a discussion of other tree matters and other changes that might.
Well, I'll coordinate with the Parks Department and go back to look at the record and see what exactly was supposed to come forth, and what was directed by council, we'll bring it back.
Okay, thanks. So with that, I would ask Deborah to read by title, and then I'll make a motion.
Just as we're preparing to do that, I would just reiterate that when the council, and I do recall the discussion on this, and I think, I applaud council for where we landed on this and staff. I think this really embodies the severity and the seriousness that the city has as it relates to its inventory of community trees, public community trees. And I do recall, there was a robust discussion about parkway trees because it had to deal with crossover and maintenance and accountability and other things. So as it relates to this specific item in front of us, thank you to staff, Parks, for what you put forward here. And I think it sends a strong message that the city and the council remain committed to protecting our inventory of community trees now and in the future, and don't mess with our trees. Thank you.
Ordinance 1305. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Dimas, County of Los Angeles, State of California, amending San Dimas Municipal Code sections 13.36.020 and 13.36.070 to permit an increased administrative fine for egregious violations of San Dimas Municipal Code Chapter 13.36 regarding community trees.
I move that we waive further reading and introduce ordinance 1305, and that also we adopt resolution 2024-10.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Okay. That'll be the end of the consent calendar, and we'll move on to city attorney in consideration of adjustment of salaries for members of the city council and the mayor, introducing ordinance 1304, amending the San Dimas Municipal Code, chapters 2.04, 2.06, adjust the mayor and the city council salaries.
Thank you, Mayor. The salary of city council members is a matter that is governed by state law in California, and this item is arising because a bill was recently adopted by the state legislature, signed by the governor, that allows for increased levels of council member compensation above what were allowed before. And that is due to the fact that the allowable salaries that are adopted by the state legislature have not been changed since the year 1984. Recently, the legislature decided that that was an update to those salaries was warranted, and they adopted a bill called SB 329 to do that. Prior to SB 329, sounds like we're having an iPhone.
An Amber Alert.
Prior to SB 329, there was a level of salaries that were allowed by state law. I have it in the staff report here. For a city like San Dimas with a population under 35,000, the starting level of monthly salary for a city council member was allowed to be up to $300. The state law allows councils to increase the city council salaries to levels above that amount, but the increases have a cap of each increase that's adopted cannot exceed 5% of the existing council salary multiplied by the number of calendar years since the council's last salary adjustment. And so that is the way that the salary for council members is set. The law additionally allows a directly elected mayor to have a level of compensation that is above the compensation level for the rest of the council members. And in San Dimas, the level of compensation for council members is currently $620 per month, and for the mayor is currently an extra $210 for $830 per month. The last time San Dimas adopted a salary increase for council members based on this 5% formula that state law allows was in 2008, and it took effect in 2009. When a council adopts a salary increase, it does not take effect until after the next municipal election, at the swearing in after the next municipal election. So what that means is if the council introduces an ordinance to do this tonight, the timing is such that the ordinance will go into effect before the swearing in after the March election, and the new salaries will take effect in April of 2024. If the council does not take action tonight, then we will miss that deadline for April 2024, and the salary increases will not take effect until after the next municipal election, which is in June of 2026. The new law, SB 329, basically just updates the levels of salary that are in the table in state law. And so for cities with up to 35,000 of population like San Dimas, the $300 monthly salary amount has been increased to an allowable level up to $950. That's what the SB 329 law now states. The law still allows for the 5% increase for every calendar year since the last increase. So we in San Dimas have 14 calendar years since the last increase that took effect in 2009. So what that means is the maximum, if council desired, the maximum amount of council salary that could be adopted in San Dimas is $1,054 per month. That is $31 for each of the last 14 calendar years since the last increase. So the council could simply choose to use the $950 a month that's in SB 329, or you could make an adjustment based on the 5% for every of the last 14 calendar years. That'd be $1,054 a month. We're asking council tonight, based on this council request for this item, to select a dollar amount that we will plug into the ordinance tonight for the new council salary amount, if you desire. And then also, if you would like for the mayor's salary to continue to be higher than the rest of the council's salary, to determine what amount higher you would like that to be tonight. And we will also plug that number into the ordinance before you tonight. And then the staff recommendation is to introduce the ordinance, and that will be it. We have at the end of the staff report a comparison with some of the other nearby cities. You can see that several cities have taken advantage of this new SB 329 law in the last few weeks, actually. Glendora, based on its population, has increased its council salary to $1,600 per month. They're over 50,000 of population. Laverne, on February 5th, just a week or so ago, introduced an ordinance to increase its salary to $950 a month. And the city of Covina, on February 6th, introduced an ordinance to increase its salary from $400 per month to $1,600 per month, based on SB 329. The purpose of this law, like I said earlier, is to take into account inflation since 1984, because that's the last time the state law was updated. But also there's a secondary purpose, which is to permit a level of income diversity on city councils, which may not exist currently, because there are people of certain income levels that just find it not possible to devote time to public service and serving on city councils. And so the legislature feels that increasing salaries like this will increase the potential or the probability that lower income persons can find themselves able to serve if the salary amount is increased. And so that concludes the staff report. I am available for questions.
Just a quick question. Laverne raised theirs to $950, and we're saying Covina raised theirs to $1,600.
Yes.
Based on their population. Okay. Okay. Any questions of staff?
If we were to increase the council salary to the amount that Jeff pointed out based on the formula, 1054, how much would that cost the city in addition? And then also, does it change any benefits that the council gets from the city? Or, contributions to benefits on the part of the city?
I would have to do the calculation. That's what I'm doing now. To give
That's
you
fine. Thanks.
It's going to make a difference whether we keep the mayor's salary at $210 above. So assuming that we keep it at $210 above.
Okay, that's a good one.
So it's about $20,000 without changing the mayor's, and about 22-ish
Okay,
thousand.
thanks. That's. Are we ready for comments, or what do you think? So when I first ran for city council, I didn't even know you got any pay for city council. I was just thought it would be fun to be on the city council, and I've been having fun for a long time. So But, and I remember when we raised it the last time. But I think that the job does require a lot of work actually on the part of the city council members. And some of it's just aggravation, I suppose, but there's also a lot of time involved. And we know that some people, especially the mayor, spends a lot of time out in the city and basically all day, every day. So I think it's warranted that we would go to the $1,054 for city council members. And to make a nice round number, I don't know how Emmett feels about it, get an extra $250 a month would probably make sense, in my opinion. So that's just my thoughts.
I agree with Councilmember Ebner. I think like you, when I got elected, I didn't even know there was any funding behind this, because I don't think anybody runs to get into this for this particular reason. I think that, when I came into City Hall and after getting sworn in and sitting down with then Kevin and doing all this paperwork, I was like, oh, really? You find out like, oh, okay. But to the point about time, after you, and I understand the intent of the legislator in this predicament, even if somebody, the funding, even if somebody needed it to offset income so they could commit the time to this, what's not accounted for here, and I always joke about it, but it's the, I say rubber chicken dinners, but I mean, it's the dinners going to, all the different events in the community, and you find yourself, I've donated to PTA in this community. I don't even have kids. I've donated to a number of causes that, this stuff does help, get funneled into the community. And I know every person sitting here has contributed back to the community more than even the current stipend. So I am supportive of it. I'm supportive also of the increase to the mayor's difference to 250 as a round number. I think that not just Emmett, but Mayor Morris, people put in a lot of time, as mayor, and I think that I've seen that firsthand, and I think that it's funny. I mean, we don't get reimbursed for gas driving to all the different meetings for all the different little things, whether it's in the community or it's driving to all these other entities that we participate in. So I think that's fair and justifiable, and I hope, and not thinking about necessarily anyone individually sitting up here, but thinking about people in the future who would run for council. I do hope this enables people who want to run, and I hope it helps them be able, if it is something that may be a hurdle to them considering a run for council, that this helps. So I am supportive, as Councilmember Ebner has shared.
I share the sentiment. I think it's particularly tough for me to wrap my mind around this, because I'm not the type of person to vote to give myself anything. Again, like John, I think we get into this for a different reason. But the reason that the legislature changed this particular piece of legislation, it makes sense. And, I do think it's time. I just struggle with it for a variety of different reasons, but I am supportive, and it does make sense. So
That wouldn't be March 5th, would it?
that's one of them. That's one of them.
Any additional? Hey, Jeff, will you go back to the reasoning that the 1,054 come up versus the 950 that the legislature has said? You could use either formula. Could you explain that once again, please?
Yes. It just the math kind of works out differently for different cities depending on when their last increase was. So for some cities, they're going to be able to, their maximum that they could raise it up to is just what SB 329 table says, the 950. But for other cities like San Dimas, the math with the 5% since the last adjustment for each calendar year, since our adjustment was all the way back in 2009, that formula actually results in a higher number than the table. So you can use either one. The legislature's table, that's a flat 950, or you can use the formula because our last increase was so many years ago.
I think what you're also saying is that in 2 years, if we wanted to, if the council wanted to, use that 5% per year increase, you could probably, correct me if I'm wrong or tell me what it is, probably say, well, there's 2 years that have gone by, so you could introduce another resolution before the next election and say, we can increase the salary 10%. So that would be another $100 plus $105.40 for the council to increase it after that next election.
That's right.
So the law was that way all along, but from 2009, I think you were saying, but we never took advantage of that 5% and the 5% and the 5%. So that's why there's 14 of those. It's not necessarily 70% because it compounds, but anyway, it's, whatever amount it is above that 838, whatever it was, 620, 830.
620.
That's exactly right.
Well, I too, like Councilman Weber said, never really give it a whole lot of thought. I do this for a lot of different reasons, and one is I believe in our community, but I do believe, as City Attorney mentioned, I have heard from people who have interest in running for council, but then when they hear what, the salary is or what they get out of it, they just can't afford to give up that amount of time. So this way, it gives it a little bit better. It's more palatable to someone who has financial issues or the willingness to serve, but they just can't really afford to give up the amount of time, and that's it. So this has been for whatever the reasons, it's been a pretty taxing to me, thinking about this for the last week or so, about what to do, what the right thing to do for not only the council and the city, but for myself. It's just been kind of hard. But I also understand the motivation that the state legislature have done. So at this point, I will support the council raises at this point, and I will entertain a motion.
Well, I'd like to have the ordinance read, and then I will I will make a motion. Ordinance read by title, that is.
I'm sorry, you want the motion read first, but do we need to plug the math in before?
Yeah, with plugging in, yes, I'm sorry. So in that section D, where there's a blank on page 2 of the ordinance or page 135 of the agenda, there should be $1,054 per month. And then in section 3, under general provisions, there's a blank for supplemental compensation for the mayor, and that would be $250 supplemental compensation.
Ordinance 1304, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Dimas, County of Los Angeles, State of California, amending San Dimas Municipal Code Sections 2.04.030 and 2.06.020, relating to the salaries of city council members and the mayor.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, and I will make a motion to waive further reading and introduce ordinance 1304.
Second.
I just want to make a comment. One of the things that bothered me about this is that I believe that it was necessary to have all 5 council members in attendance for this particular ordinance. Unfortunately, Councilman Nakano is out of the country, and that according to the city attorney, we're under a time restraint, and so we cannot continue this matter. And so we're going to go forward with it. But I do want people to understand, I really would have liked to have all 5 council members here to discuss it and have I would imagine we would have had the same type of conversation, but I'm not privy to Councilman Nakano's opinion on this matter at this time. So at this point, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence. And we'll move on to oral communications. Members of the audience, speakers are limited to 3 minutes or as may be determined by the chair. Anyone wishing to speak?
Testing, thank you. Mayor, City Council staff, Gene and I just wish all city staff and department heads a happy Valentine's Day tomorrow, and thank you for your good work. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the council at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to oral communications. Our city reports, city manager.
Just a short update. We weathered the most recent storm fairly well, the same way we did last year when the storm hit in the early part of the year, except for the degradation of the loop. We were expecting another storm to come in starting Sunday night through the majority of next week, bringing in roughly 5 to 8 inches of rain. And once again, our staff are out in advance doing prep work. We'll be offering sand in bags at the municipal yard. Just bring your own shovel. And we will have teams patrolling during the course of the day and night to ensure that we're addressing any hot spots. And I hope to have the same outcomes as we had before, where we've done a great job in making sure we minimize impact. Lastly, as Mr. Bob Olander stated, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so I wish you, your significant others, those loved ones, and everybody else that you share an affinity to a very happy and warm Valentine's Day. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Mr. City Attorney.
I have no reports tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Members of the City Council, council members' reports on meeting attended at the expense of the local agency. Hearing none, we'll move on to City Council requests for future items, comments, and updates. Councilman Weber.
I do just want to say thank you to the city staff who were out and about during that rainstorm and kept our streets clear of fallen trees and mud flow and the like. That is not very pleasant to be the person that is out there in the pouring rain, keeping things clear for everybody, but it has to be done, and I certainly appreciate all of their efforts in that regard. I also want to thank everybody who came out to the candidates forum a week before last. I think it was a great opportunity to learn about stances that various candidates for city council have as it relates to topics and issues that affect the city today. And in case anybody missed it and they're interested in seeing that, K-West recorded the candidates forum, and it's available on YouTube to watch at your leisure. I lastly want to mention the Sheriff's Station Volunteer Appreciation Dinner, which myself, the mayor, and Councilmember Vienna attended last week. There we recognize station volunteers, which include, I don't know if many people in the community know how many volunteers we have at our San Dimas Sheriff's Station, but it included volunteers on patrol, station volunteers, uniform reserve deputies, our mountain rescue team, disaster communication team, CERT team, and explorers, and mounted team. And those volunteers contributed thousands and thousands of hours to the community for various events that we've put on at no expense to the city. And so they really do provide a valuable asset to the community and help us put on these events that everybody likes to attend. So thank you so much for all of our volunteers and to the San Dimas Station Boosters Club who put the event on. I think it was really well done. And for those who weren't there, Councilmember Vienna was the MC for the event. He did a fantastic job. And congratulations to our volunteers of the year. We had an opportunity to honor one volunteer from each of those groups as volunteers of the year, and it was really special. So thank you for everybody who came out, everybody who contributed to help put that on, and to the council for attending.
John?
Well, I too just wanted to commend staff and say that, especially recently, I've been really impressed by the preparation and response to these weather events that we've had, and appreciate Chris keeping us up to date, and of course staff being out there and taking care of everything, and if there are problems, taking care of them quickly. So it's really a testament, I think, to our way of looking at those things. So thank you very much on that. As Eric mentioned, there is an election coming up on March 5th. The ballots are out in the mail right now. Some of you may have already voted, but you do need to vote by March 5th. And there are some in-person locations that I'm not sure when they open up, but it's about 10 days in advance of the election where you can actually go in person. Right now you can mail them. And I just want to give a tiny plug here. My website, johnebiter.com, does have an election page. It has all the candidate statements, the four that are in competitive races right now. I didn't put Emmett's because we already appointed him mayor. He doesn't need any more advertising right now. But, and also a link to that candidates forum is there too. So that's one relatively easy way of getting to it. And then lastly, it was interesting, and I was pleased to see that the theme for Black History Month this year is African Americans and the arts. That's such a crucial part of our culture, and it just so happens that I happened to come across a study that came out last October, and it was entitled Arts and Economic Prosperity, just in general, arts and economic prosperity. It was done by an organization called Americans for the Arts, which, full disclosure, they're an advocacy organization. But they studied cities and towns, big and small, populations running from 4 million down to 4,000 people in the city. And the study's main report is 44 pages long, so it's not that hard to read. The background details and methodology and tables and all that kind of stuff is 1,300 pages, so if anybody wants to delve into that. But some of the findings that were of note, one highlight is that in the nonprofit arts and culture sector, it generated, this is in 2022, $150 billion in economic activity nationally. Another finding is that a typical attendee at an arts and cultural event spent $38 in the community when they went to that. That doesn't include admission, if there was any, to the event. So all in all, I drew these conclusions that I feel are credible, that these art and cultural events drive commerce to local businesses, support local jobs, keep residents spending in their community, and draw outside people from outside the community to the community to spend their dollars. So to put it simply, when we support arts and culture, including with government funding, we get a return on our investment. It's of course social, it's cultural, it's quality of life, but it's also economic. I'm going to put a link on my website to this the day after tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tomorrow because tomorrow's Valentine's Day and Ash Wednesday, so we'll probably take a day off from the website for that day. But and anyway, with that, happy Valentine's to everybody here and out there in TV land.
Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. One is I did have the opportunity to attend the candidates forum, as did others. I just wanted to commend all of the candidates. Everyone did a good job. It's always nerve-wracking being up there on that stage and never knowing what those questions are going to be coming from the curious public, and and being prepared. So I think everybody did a pretty good job of having their answers sorted and and did what they needed to do. So I'm happy, and I commend all of them. And as I think everyone's talked about, there is an election, obviously, so I hope everybody does vote. That's the one thing everyone needs to do, is make sure that you get your ballot and you turn that in. So you can drop your ballot off in the mail. You can drop your ballot off at a ballot drop box here by the library. I do believe we have a voting center that will be in the Stanley Plummer building, and so that'll be available for people who'd like to vote in person or drop their ballots off. So you can go to sandimasca.gov and click the election information tab on our website to get more information regarding that. I had the opportunity, along with some of the city staff, and I think Councilmember Weber went with us to Supervisor Barger's new office. She's relocated, if you were unaware. Her office used to be up near San Dimas Canyon Road and Foothill, or Route 66. She's now located right near Dr. Hoyt, by our dentist, or my dentist, some of our dentists. But he is right above, they are right above. It's no longer La Papusa's. It's Burger 380 South San Dimas Avenue is what I think the address is. So if you look where Berry Brothers is, the gas station on the corner of Arrow and San Dimas Avenue, it's on the northeast corner, second story, second floor upstairs. So the supervisor's district office is there. It's a great location. It used to be, I think, where the McKinley's Adoption Center used to be. But the bottom line is that location, I think, is a great spot for the supervisor's office. It's accessible from mass transportation. I think it'll be very open and accessible to people when they need it. And you can obviously patronize any of our local places, Railside Cafe, or any of those businesses there. So I appreciate the supervisor being in town. She's a huge supporter of our community and our city, and a great partner, and I look forward to her continued service to this district. I had the opportunity to attend what I am very grateful for, the council, the San Gabriel Valley Vector and Mosquito Control District meeting on last Friday. I should let you know there was a very spirited discussion regarding going to a 4-day work week among the staff. And so in a board of where there's about 15 to 20 people who represent all these different areas, it was very interesting. The personnel committee that was supposed to have sorted all this out kicked it to the main board of trustees. So we all got to sit there and hash this out. And needless to say, the district will be going to a 4-day work week. And, there was a very interesting and spirited discussion among it. It was not a unanimous vote. There were people against it. I represented what I felt was the interesting consensus of the council. Last time there was some discussion regarding modified work week schedules. And there was a number of things proposed, from hybrid to, some splitting staff, some having Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the other having Saturday, Sunday, Monday RDOs or days off. But needless to say, it's going to be a 410. So if you have mosquito problems, you need to figure it out between Monday through Thursday moving forward, and they are going to look at an answering service or other technology that they could make senior staff available on a Friday if need be. We were trying to figure out what exactly those emergencies were that you would need the mosquito and vector control district for in an emergency that the fire or someone else wouldn't handle. But needless to say, visit the San Gabriel Valley Vector Mosquito Control District website for upcoming hours and adjustments. Also, attended the Sheriff Station Volunteer Recognition Dinner. I will say that was very well done. My hat's off to the Sheriff Station, to the boosters. They did an amazing job as they do each year. Mr. Fosselman, had some things going on this year, and others kind of filled in, carrying the torch where needed, and it came out to be a great event. So I thank all of our volunteers, all of the boosters, and everyone, CERT, so many organizations. I mean, and even CERT, if you followed that story from 2017, 2015 to when council has moved forward supporting that initiative to where it's become now, being formally recognized in the safety element and other things, funding support. It's really come a long way. Larry Giannoni, the staff, so many people have contributed. So our volunteers are a very important core group here, and I hope that people do continue to be involved in volunteerism here in our community, whether that's volunteering for the city and our city events, Parks and Recreation. We have, 5Ks and things like this where we need volunteers, or whether you do it with the Sheriff's Station, just please continue to be involved, or in commissions and so forth. That brings me to the next point. We've had some seismic activity lately, if you haven't noticed. I was sitting in my wife's office and we had an earthquake. I went, holy moly. So I do hope everyone, if you don't have any plans made in emergency, please visit the San Dimas website, sandimasca.gov, click on residents, then you can click emergency preparedness, and you will find all kinds of resources, ready, set, go plans for how you can go ahead and make yourself ready. You also will find information regarding our community emergency response team, and that's another great resource for you to be able to get involved with. But the bottom line is there has been a lot of earthquakes recently. I mean, really in the last month, and so I would certainly have water on hand and be ready to go. You never know. Last two things. One is the Sheriff's Station, for those that don't know, have something called the Sheriff's Online Report Tracking System, or SORTS. If you are unaware, the Sheriff's Department allows you to file certain police reports online. And those types of reports that you can report online are lost or stolen cell phones valued at $950 or less, lost or stolen property valued at $950 or less, vandalism excluding graffiti where damage is valued under $400, theft from an unlocked vehicle valued at $950 or less, theft from an open or unsecured area valued at $950 or less, and a supplemental loss form you could do online if you already have a Sheriff's Department report number. So I share that with you because it is very easy to do. You just simply go to lasd.org, click resources, and then you click on the File a Crime Report Online tab. One thing that's important to note about this is that you'll receive a free copy of your report once it's approved. That is different than if you were to have a deputy come to your home and take that report and have to go to the Sheriff's Station, in which case, if you wanted a copy of your report, you would pay a fee to be able to get a copy of that report. So you can avoid paying a fee and receive a free report, copy of your report rather, if it meets the criteria, and you do it online. So I highly encourage folks to do that. It does a couple things. Number one is, we do have a finite number of resources in the community, and if we are able to send some of these types of calls for service to be taken online, not only are you ensuring that the information that you report is accurate in how it is that you transcribe it, but also that is going to be electronically submitted and queued up to be reviewed. And when that is reviewed, sometimes that's going to be reviewed pretty quickly and get you a copy of that report for free. The other thing it does is it keeps our deputies from being tied up to be able to respond to more priority situations or be able to provide extra patrols around the community when we are working to combat things like retail theft, catalytic converter theft, stolen vehicles, stolen mail, and other types of things in the community. So your help and assistance to do that would be great. The Sheriff's Department, I know, would be greatly appreciative. Our station would be, and that would help send things to them more expediently and get you a free copy of your report. Lastly, this Saturday was the Lunar New Year. For everyone who celebrated that, I hope you have a happy New Year. Today is Fat Tuesday, so enjoy if you celebrate Fat Tuesday and Mardi Gras. And tomorrow is going to be Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day. So I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday for whatever you celebrate. If it's Singles Awareness Day, so be it. But I hope it is a great day nonetheless on whatever you are going to do, and it is filled with warmth and love from all around. Take care.
Thank you, Ryan. Deborah, would you please give us an update on polling and voting locations? I know that Ryan gave a fairly comprehensive report, but I think that you might just speak out, being as you're our official election person.
Yes, Mayor. As Mayor Pro Tem Viana mentioned, the Stanley Plummer Building will be one of 2 locations here in San Dimas that will be a vote center. It is going to be an 11-day vote center. It will open on February 24th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Those hours will be from the 24th of February to March 4th. On March 5th, it will open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. The other vote center will be the Holy Name of Mary Catholic Church, and they are going to be a 4-day vote center, March 2nd to March 5th. There are a number of other locations between San Dimas and Glendora. They are on the city's website at sandimasca.gov.
Thank you. Chris, I know you're not prepared to speak to this, but I'm going to ask you to speak to it anyway. In the last couple of weeks, there's been rumors about 740 East Foothill. Could you fill us in on them pulling out or whatever they did?
We received notice from the county that 740 has pulled both their project from county planning as well as their funding through locked at the county.
Could you refer to that about what it is, please?
740 East Foothill and the neighboring properties were, an application was submitted under the equivalent of the Housing Authority for the county for the development of a permanent supportive housing development at that location that would house originally all-age, formerly homeless individuals that subsequently was turned into senior-only housing. Those properties were in process. The city became aware of that the day that the Board of Supervisors was going to award $7 million of funding for that project. And with city staff from both the city of San Dimas and Laverne working directly with Catherine Barger's office, we were successful to have that one item pulled off the agenda, at least our project, not the entire agenda item. Others were approved, to allow for the community input, which was what the desire was, to engage community before making these types of decisions. The council held its first joint meeting. We went through working with National Corps on the potential for identifying alternate sites, as the site of 740 was not conducive to build a 4 to 5 foot structure with limited setbacks, limited parkings right next to the backside of a neighborhood, a school, and the community across the street. And during the course of that time, National Corps, which was the developer, made the decision to pull their project from both those venues, both the funding and the development process.
Thank you. I know that Councilman Viana was not aware of the unwritten memo that was in everybody's mind about this being a fairly short meeting. But
I wasn't about to see it end before 8. You did that last time.
But the reality is that I have a ton of things to talk about, but at this point, I'm going to say I have nothing because Viana took up all the time. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. See you.